Welcome to the We Rock DM podcast, your source for all things digital marketing. Join hosts Daniel Bissett and Trisha Olberg as they explore the latest trends and share their expertise on how to succeed in the digital age. Tune in for expert advice on search engine optimization, social media marketing, and content strategy. We make kick-ass stuff kick-ass. So join us and learn how to rock your digital marketing game. Welcome to We Rock DM Amplified. I'm your host, Daniel Bissett, joined by Trisha Elizabeth Olberg. And today we're diving into the exhilarating world of sports digital marketing with our special guest, Ulrika Smith-Svenstedt. Let's get started, shall we? Ulrika, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from Sweden. We really appreciate you, and we're incredibly excited to hear what you have to say. Today's show is going to be different to many of the previous shows, less about trying to unpack your digital marketing strategy and tease out areas for improvement. Instead, really just try to understand what it is that you're doing, who you are, who you represent. And oh my gosh, I feel like I'm a little fanboy right now because you're maybe the most famous person I've spoken to. The communications director for the Swedish Biathlon team, Olympic team. What is this? Tell us
Federation.
About yourself, would you? The Federation.
Yeah.
So give us the TLDR, the too long didn't read, about who you are and what you're doing nowadays.
My name is Ulrika, and I'm a 51-year-old Swede, an ex-skier from the Utah ski team. I'm Swedish. I just joined the Swedish Biathlon Federation as a strategic communication manager, and I've basically been here for 4 weeks now. So this is very new to me, even though I've been working with the communication and the advertising since 1996. When we graduated from the U, actually.
Yeah. So everybody, I have to introduce Ulrika myself, because Ulrika is actually one of my closest friends from college. That's where we met, at the University of Utah. Not only was Ulrika on the University of Utah cross-country ski team, she was in the graphic design program with me there, and that is where we met. We met in a drawing class. And Ulrika, I want to share the story of how we met, because I think it's kind of fun. Ulrika was still kind of working on her English when you first came to the States. And so we were in this drawing class, and I think maybe you picked me out. You thought this girl over here looks like maybe she can help me translate a little bit. So that's kind of how she came over and started asking me to kind of help translate some of the things that the instructor was saying. And I did my best. Something I totally remember you asking me, though, which was such a good question. You said, if you say Nike, why don't you say bikey? But that is a really good question. I had no idea why we say it, right? It made sense.
I still wonder.
And I'll always remember that. I know. That's one of the first things she said to me. I'm like, that is a really good question. So that is initially how we met. And then we bonded pretty quickly. And Ulrika was very proud of her country, very proud of Sweden, and would talk about Sweden a lot, and kind of invited people to come visit her, right? You were always saying, come visit me in Sweden anytime. Well, so one summer, myself and a friend of ours decided to come, and I think you were kind of shocked by that. You probably didn't think we were actually going to show up, but we did.
No.
Like, yeah, we'll take you up on that. Yeah, so we did. We went to Sweden to visit Ulrika, and that's when we became really good friends. And Ulrika has actually created this little book for me. I have it with me. Now let's see, and then you'll only be able to see this on the YouTube version of our show, but I know. So this is a little Saab that Ulrika and I drove all around Sweden in. Like one summer, we just went everywhere in this little Saab. It was so great. And there's another view of it. Oh, hi, bye. How cute. And there's some cute pictures in here. This is one of my favorite pictures. This is actually us on our graduation day at the University of Utah. You can see that. Yeah, good memories. So it's a little treasured gift that Ulrika made for me back in the day. And another thing that was really great is since Ulrika was in the graphic design program with me, we really supported each other through that program. It was a very difficult program. We had a portfolio review at the end of every year, and people got kicked out all the time. So Ulrika was really helpful because she helped support me. I would say you helped support me through that more than I supported you. You were always like, "You can do it, Trisha. Don't give up." I'd go over to, she had, was living in this little house downtown Salt Lake, and I would just go over to her house and she'd make me her Swedish tea. She'd make me a cup of tea, and then we'd work on our projects together. And I honestly don't know if I would have made it through that program without you. It really.
Oh,
So, yeah, no, it's true. Yeah. So, and Ulrika was always very motivated. I mean, at one point, I think you were 6th in the nation on the ski team. Isn't that right? That was your rank.
Yep.
Oh, so one more story.
5th actually.
5th. Oh my goodness. I knew. So one more story, a skiing story now. So I'm a pretty good downhill skier. Would you say I'm a good downhill skier? I'm pretty good. But what I'm not good at is cross-country skiing. So one day, Ulrika decided to invite me to go practice with the University of Utah cross-country ski team at Solitude Ski Resort. And I guess I thought that I was good enough to do that. So I did that. And what I remember is, here I am, I think that may have been my first time cross-country skiing. And Ulrika comes up to me on her skis and she's like, "Okay, Trisha, now I'm just going to be a little bit ahead of you. All right. I'm just going to go a little bit with my team, but you'll catch up. Right." So yeah. Right. So I'm skiing. And all of a sudden, the next thing I know, Ulrika has lapped me. And she waves. She's like, "Hi." And then she lapped me again. And that was the last time I went cross-country skiing. She is
sorry about
good.
That.
Oh, it's okay.
Feel your spirit.
Yeah. That was sweet of you to think I could keep up with the ski team. That was really sweet. But yeah, that's kind of how we met, and we have been good friends ever since. And I have been watching Ulrika grow throughout her career. She is truly one of the most accomplished friends I have, and Ulrika has always just had such drive and ambition. And so Ulrika, let's talk a little bit about how that was really the beginning of your career, was when we were in college together. You were on the ski team, you were in the graphic design program. And then what did you do next? Like, how did you grow your career up into the position you're in today? How did you see that happened?
I would say that, I always loved marketing and design. I've always been had an eye for good looking things and the creativity process. I always loved the creative process. And it doesn't really matter what it's about, if it's about designing something in class or drawing an extension of my house or designing a couch or whatever, But I've also had this huge part of me that's about sports. So I have these two legs, one design and creativity leg, and then one very competitive sport love leg. And I would say that that's why this was such a great combination for me at the U, when I was headhunted to ski for the University of Utah ski team. And at the same time, I could actually get an education in a field that I loved, was like the perfect match for me. So basically it started there. And when I got back to Sweden, I actually ended up working as an art director pretty quickly at a biggest sports store in Sweden called The Stadium. And basically that was a kind of like a lucky start for me, because I got to work with sports equipment and marketing, but it was basically just on the product side of stuff. And after that, I ended up like working for ad agencies and also being an owner of an ad agency. But I've always kept one leg in the sport industry, because I really felt that one day I wanted to combine my interest for sports and my love for that, and the love for communication and design and the creative process. So I think after almost, oh my goodness, it's like almost 25 years in the ad agency business. I was actually, I mean, I worked at I have to say that I also volunteered a lot, like at the Olympics, the 2002 Olympics in
Yeah.
Salt Lake City. I volunteered and worked for the World Championships in Falun for cross country, and also for the downhill World Cup in Åre. And the more I did that, the more I realized that I needed sports to be more close to my DNA. I didn't want it to have it to work on that on the side of beside my real job. So that's why I got the chance to become the marketing director for the largest bike race event in the world called Vätternrundan, where there were about 40,000 bikers racing for 2 weeks during the year. And that's actually pretty close to where I live. So I got the chance to work really close with sport industry and marketing for 5 years almost, before I started working with I don't know what you call it in America, but in Sweden, the sport industry is built up by like local sport federations, where you have the kids going to the soccer games, the soccer teams. It's not based on schools like you have in America. Every little town has their own like soccer team and hockey team and whatever. And the county work with all those teams. And that's what I've been working with for the last 3 years, to basically help kids get a great start in their life with sports. But about 6 months ago, I got called up by the what do you call it? The general director for the Swedish Biathlon team, and he was asking me if I was interested in maybe helping out with the communication development for the Swedish Biathlon team. And I have to say, we are doing so well in the world right now. I mean, we took so many medals at the World Championships, and I was just like, it was like a dream come true for me. This is like a dream job for me, and it's also based in the middle of Sweden, even though it feels really, really far up. So I actually live here part-time now. And yeah, basically I just started, but it's my love for sports and my love for marketing that got me here, basically.
Isn't that amazing?
And this is the town.
That's really. Sorry, Trisha, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say this town that the federation is in. That's the town where you went to ski high school. Isn't that what you told me? So that's what you had, right?
It's actually very close. It's very close. I went to a ski academy, high school, like 90 kilometers away from here. But I actually raced for Östersund as a ski team. That was my club. So I'm basically back at the same stadium where I started in 1991. So that's pretty cool. Like the circle is closed.
Yeah, and I think that's really a cool thing about Sweden is how they have specialized high schools like that. So that kind of sets you up to get recruited by the University of Utah to go to school there, right? They were recruiting students out of your ski high school, which was very cool. It's so exciting.
Yeah.
I love hearing about all these jobs you have, because I remember these jobs. I think I have visited Sweden at every job you've been at. I remember being at that race, the bike race. Remember, I was like in the crowd waiting for you. And then I remember going to the ad agency you worked at, and the sportswear. So yes, I've been watching Ulrika do this, and you really have, from my perspective, you just have been climbing the ladder. Like, you set yourself up for the position you're in now, and the fact that you stayed kind of true to what you really were passionate about, which is skiing. That's always been something that really resonates. Like, people know that you're passionate about sports, and combined with marketing, I mean, you were the perfect candidate for this position, and they reached out to you, right? You were recruited for the position with the Swedish Biathlon Federation. Yeah. Yeah,
So
it's awesome.
I'm curious, Ulrika, as the communications director for the Swedish Biathlon team, how have you integrated digital marketing strategies into promoting the team and the sport? It must be different to running an ad agency. You're now integrating it into sports. How has that changed the way that you do things, and what are you doing that you think, or what are you looking to do in the future that you think is going to set you apart?
Um, to be honest with you, it's like I've been only been here for like a month, and they have done a great, amazing job with the Biathlon Federation. But I would have to say that the biggest difference from coming from an ad agency is to be on the other side of the table. And I have to say that I do not miss being in an ad agency at all. I love being on the other side. I know what to buy now. I know to ask the right questions. And it's been actually amazing in the last 3 jobs I've had to be closer to the final target group. It's actually working with them. That has been very, very cool. It's like you don't it's like when I worked at a sports store, I was selling things, I was selling products. And right now, I'm selling a lifestyle. We are selling joy, happiness, health, things to do for kids. We are selling role models for the kids. I mean, these amazing athletes that we have in our federation that, yes, they take gold medals at the Olympics, but what they do most of all, they set an example of what a healthy lifestyle is like. Um, it's called the biathlon family, and the biathlon um, sport is very different from a lot of sports in the world. I would say it's a big close community with all the teams from all over the world. Basically, they love each other, but when they're on the course, they don't hate each other, but they race against each other. But it's like the crowd also is very special. They cheer for, of course, their own athletes and their own countries, but they also cheer for everybody that hits that target, everybody that's doing great. So it's like it's an amazingly positive environment to be in, which makes it easy to market in some ways, even though we have a lot of different target groups. But it also um, it's also a little bit challenging. Like I told you guys before we started this, that we have a lot of different target groups that needs a lot of different things, and we talked about having too big of a target group. It's hard to know where to put your focus, but I think that's what we have to work on a lot here, and that is to kind of try to find that the goal for each target group, and also what our goal is as a federation, because everything has to reach that goal, and all the other goals are part goals on that journey.
So,
Yeah.
one way that Nike got really successful wasn't because they were trying to sell shoes. They were
Mm-hmm.
selling the stories behind the people wearing the shoes. So
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
have to assume that you, from a marketing perspective, are doing a lot of storytelling. Um,
Yes, a lot of storytelling.
and so, how do you integrate that storytelling into the digital marketing space? What are you doing to reach those different audiences? Where are you going to do that?
We have actually um, a team reporter that travels with the elite teams to their training camps. Like for right now, they're on Mallorca in Europe, and they're actually traveling with them to show the behind the scenes, to see that it's not just gold and medals and like cheering. It's like a lot of sweat and blood and tears that goes into this. So we use Instagram a lot because it's easy to come behind the scenes and and talk to the athletes. Like the great thing about having a traveling reporter that works for us is that they get to know her. She can come closer to them. They trust her. And she can ask little interviews, and we can follow behind the scenes. I mean, when they climb up that big hill on Mallorca, it's going to be a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but they know they have to reach the gold medals later on the season. So I think being true and honest, and also being very transparent about what it's like to be an elite athlete. It's a lot of hard work that goes into that. And I think that's very inspiring for people to watch, to be able to follow and see what actually happens. How many hours don't they have to try to target shoot? I mean, it's windy and it's sunny and it's snowy, it's foggy. I mean, what do you do? How do you do things? It's very intriguing, and it's very exciting to find out. How do you do this? Okay, when you come into the stadium and all of a sudden the wind changes from one side to the other, how do you have to think as an athlete to do that? The coaches, the way they talk to their athletes, those their relationships, it's really amazing to see that. And also one thing that's very unique about the Swedish Biathlon team Federation is that we are in one place. In Östersund, we have the coaches, we have the athletes, we have the administration personnel, we have the wax teams, we have everybody here. So everybody is around here, and you can hear the talk in the coffee room, and you get to know them. So we become like a family. And I think that's a very successful story.
Do you feel that the people who are watching your Instagram space, are they building this kind of relationship with the athletes and getting to know the athletes so that they are part of the family, as it were?
Yes, I think that is the success story of this whole thing. We talk about the biathlon family, and then we don't talk about just us working here with the athletes. It includes our fans, it includes our sponsors and partners, it includes the town, the city mayor, the people who grooms the tracks here. They're amazing. And the volunteers, when we have the World Cup here, we have so many people working here, and they do it for free because they want to be a part of this family, and they become ambassadors in their turns. So they talk good about us, and they tell their story to their friends and their family and their kids. So I think when we say the biathlon family, we mean everybody.
And does your
the elite team is just a little bit of that.
Does your journalist go and interview the people who are cleaning the slopes or whatever? Sorry, I don't know the technical terms. Not my lane.
Yeah, the course. Yeah.
The course.
You know what? I have to say, the local media here is very. They like. I mean, this is a very positive marketing for this whole region, because we become. It's kind of like Trisha. I'm like being on the ski team at the U. You become an ambassador for your university, and this is the way the Biathlon Federation is for Östersund, and in that turn for Sweden. So I think you become proud, and you want to show the positive sides of this whole thing. And think about all the kids that are, I mean, it's like we don't talk about that. That is also one thing we talk a lot about. It's like, how do we lift biathlon from the ground? It's not, we need to have future medals and elite teams, but also we want to have kids that have fun. So showing, the way you can start biathlon with electronic shooting, like lower the borders to try things. It's also an important thing, and that we work with.
Yeah, that was a good analogy. It is like a university. You have fans of all ages, and there's you are appealing to people who are going to be lifelong fans, and it's the pride of Sweden, really, right? That is, wow, that's amazing. So tell me then, what is your role in creating a schedule for all your marketing? Like, what is your specific role in helping to develop your marketing plan?
Well, it's like right now they've had a marketing plan for a long time, of course, because you have to plan your year. It's a very
Yeah.
cyclic year. You have the trading season, you have the racing season, you have the kind of in between season, and then we have also on top of that we have the a World Cup that actually is here in Östersund. So it's both like running the federation marketing plans, combining it with an actual event that happens here, and also all our partners and sponsors that have their marketing strategy that needs to fit into our marketing strategy, and also get the right amount of space and room that they have paid for, but also that we can basically work off each other so we get the end result that we all want. And that is a
Hmm.
successful, healthy, sustainable federation um, for for Sweden and for us. So what
So,
I do now is basic. Yeah,
oh, I was going to say, no, go
sorry.
ahead, continue. Continue.
Yeah, no. So what I do now is basically we are like we have of course a marketing action plan because we know certain things that goes on in different parts of the year, but now we also have to see. Okay, we also work a lot with the education, training the leaders and the team coaches for the younger kids. Okay, so how do we market that? How do we fit that into the plan? Because this is not all about the elite teams and the gold medals. It's about building the next generation biathletes in Sweden. So that's also something we're looking at. Okay, where during the year is it the most logical time that we talk about education, and what do the sport clubs need from us? And then, okay, how can we fill that need, and where do we reach those in the best place? What platform is for fans? What platform is a newsletter, for our Facebook, LinkedIn? So this is something that we're actually starting to look at right now in a more broader picture, to try to narrow down the target groups a little more, to maybe give each target group a little more of what they need. And to be able to do that, we need to know what do they need,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so we don't shoot over the target. So that is a process we are starting right now. um,
How many
yeah,
targets have you identified?
we actually are going to have this workshop in like 2 weeks, but I
Hmm.
would say like basically you have of course the fans,
Yeah.
you have the sponsors, you have the sport clubs, you have the town, you have parents, you have the volunteers, you have a lot of internal target groups also. So I would say it's like a 5, 6, 7 different target groups. But we are not done, modeling that yet.
Yeah.
That's we know pretty much which one they are, but we are going to kind of dive into that a little more to try
And
to aim the target a little better.
are you individualizing your strategies in a way that is consistent with money? Like, how do you prioritize which target gets the focus? I
Yeah,
have to
that's a
assume
Exactly.
very
that there's
Hmm.
a strong financial impetus to push towards talking about the sponsors and the athletes
mhm,
because that's where the money is at. But how do you then justify the volunteers? Giving them their
mhm,
space and time.
mhm.
Um, uh, this is more of a
That's a
rhetorical
great
question
question.
because it's really
But
hard,
that's a
right?
very good question. It's a very
Yeah.
good question. And we actually talked about that the other day because we have a set goal for the federation. And if we would only go to basically direct the communication strategy towards exactly that goal, we might miss some other target groups. because sometimes you have to make a different marketing like post or something, because you need to reach something, because there is another aim for something like the partnership. So that is a very interesting question. And also it's like you have to be very careful in how you use your social platform, because you have a fan base, and if you start filling that social media flow with things that they are not interested in, you might lose that. And sometimes you have to discuss, is it worth losing some of them to gain something else? And where does that borderline is? I think we're not there yet, but that is a very tricky question, and very important one, I would say. And there's not an easy answer to that. But there's definitely certain aspects that you have to take in consideration. Definitely.
That was my question, is around sponsors as well. I picked up on that when you were talking. And Ulrika, I know that you are not new to working with sponsors. You have done this your whole career. So would you say, that's an interesting question. Would you say that I'm just curious from a production standpoint, do you work with the sponsors to create content, or do they give it to you? Or and I understand what you're saying about making sure that you're not just, you don't want that to take over your Instagram feed. You want it to work with it, right? Integrate it so it still stays relevant and interesting, and it's actually helping to lift up the team rather than feeling like you're just trying to be salesy.
The thing
so
is,
how does that work?
The thing is, we have a marketing team here, and we actually have a guy who's been working with this much longer than I have, and he's really, really good at it. So it's not one of my main priorities now, but what's important is that these things have to work together. It can't be its own separate leg. And I think what's most important is that, to be honest, a little bit different in Sweden, I have to say. In America, it's a little more common that you put in the investment you put in a right that you buy to become a sponsor. You put the same amount in activation to activate that sponsorship. We are a little bit behind here in Sweden. We're working on it, and it's a very important thing. So I think we help them a lot to try to find a way to come up with activate the sponsorship together, to help fill it with content. Of course, they have their own goals and their own wishes, but sometimes we sit on a lot of knowledge and ideas and creativity that might help that to come to the next level. But the most important thing is, I think, a successful partnership is when the viewers, the fans, or whoever understands why that partnership is important. So it doesn't feel malplaced. It's like, okay, why is this company a partner? Because of this. But that's also because when you have a good strategy for your partnerships, that doesn't become an issue, because you know beforehand that we did it for this reason. It might be a sustainability partner. It might be something else. So I think,
again, that comes into the storytelling, doesn't it? If you are all a family, then not only are your fans part of the family, but so too are the sponsors. They are truly
definitely
part of the family. And so doing some BTSs, some behind the scenes with them in the experience of working with you, I mean, it's all stories, right? And something that you said about mixing things up, if you own stocks, you never want to own just one stock. You need to diversify your portfolio. And every time I start thinking about strategies for social media marketing in particular, I'm flabbergasted to see how uniform and ultimately boring so many people's strategies are, even if they're doing storytelling, it's all the same. And so by
Yeah.
diversifying what you're putting out on these different platforms, um,
Yeah.
I don't actually think you're going to lose people, because it sounds like you're making it very, very interesting and
Yes.
educational, right?
Hmm.
And so, something that we are also trying to achieve is make an edutainment, like education,
Yes,
entertainment,
exactly. Yeah.
symbiotic
Hmm.
relationship, right, through what we're doing.
Yeah. Hmm.
And it sounds very much similar to the strategies that you are implementing as well. So, I mean, I don't think you're going to be losing people, because you're keeping those spaces interesting and informative and fun. Um, but
Yeah.
Trisha's right. The passion that we hear when you talk must be conveyed in all of the marketing. You sound very passionate, and as a top representative of the federation, you must all, I assume, be equally as passionate. So it
Yeah.
must be fun and exciting.
Just want to add
Yes.
something about the partnerships. It's like you talk about, when you mix up the storytelling with the partners. It's also like, I mean, they are also a fan base. They have
Yeah.
clients, customers
Yeah.
that also will love this sport. I mean, of course,
Hmm.
I mean, if they are going to spread a positive rumor and a positive vibe about this, people will watch it on TV. I mean, they can't wait for the weekend to come to get on the couch and watch the races. And of course, that's going to spread like little swirls on the water. It will give positive vibes from that. So I think, yeah, we are just a bunch of very positive, passionate people that have the opportunity to work with the greatest sport on earth. That's just it, basically.
Yeah, and there you go. So, what I was going to say is this job is perfect for you. Ulrika really is perfect. I mean, so good at just enthusiasm. Like I even remember some of our graphic design, assignments. There was always a Swedish twist in it, right? And she'd
Yeah.
get up there, and there always was, and it would be like, Sweden is so awesome, and this is why this works, and you'd integrate it so well. And I mean, my goodness, I mean, you convinced me that Sweden is just like one of the greatest countries, if not the greatest country in the world. She's very good at that. So, and same with her sport. I mean, she just said this is the best sport in the world, and she truly believes that. And that always comes through in her enthusiasm. And that's just what you do so well. And in your marketing, you've always done that really well.
Well, the
So,
thing is, you have to believe it to be able to sell
yeah,
it.
Yep.
You have
yeah,
to feel it to be able to sell it. If you don't believe in your own product, whatever it is, you're not going to sell it.
yeah.
And
So
you have to truly think that, you know?
so here's a question for you then. Um, the biathlon is a very unique sport, especially
Mhm.
popular in the Nordic countries. How do you leverage its cultural significance in the digital marketing space?
Um, I would say that, um, first of all, it's become a very, very good TV sport.
Okay.
It's very exciting. It's never over until it's over. You sit there and you wait for that thing to go down, and you're like, oh no. It's like, it's like, so I think it's become extremely exciting sport. We've been very good at selling it on TV, but of course we've been good to selling it because we have great athletes that do amazing things. But it's also a very um, great live sport because of the fan base, because of the positive attitude on the stands. So I think it's, if you compare it to cross country skiing that used to be much much bigger, um, it's just a different, it's an added twist to
Yeah.
biathlon that makes it exciting. And I think also that is why kids also likes it a lot, because it's like it's it has a different element to it, not just go out there, be sweaty, ski and ski fast. And the cross country, the Swedes, they just go out for hours and ski and sweaty and just blow their nose, whatever. It's like it's a different element to it that adds a different thing that's become just really exciting. I mean, I was sitting on the train one day, because I commute by train a lot now, and I was sitting in the bistro, and I had my jacket on, and this old couple came down, and they're like, "Can we sit by you?" And I'm like, "Sure, yeah, sure." I didn't think much of that, and then they're like, but I could feel it, that they were like, they wanted to ask something, and I'm talkative, I'm very un-Swedish that way. So she's like, "Oh, so you work for the Swedish team?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do." And they're like, "Yeah, you know what? We can't wait for winter to come. We miss the biathlon weekends. We were so sad when the season was over." And it's like they're already starting to build up that need, their want, their excitement for the next season to start. So of course that's easy to kind of spin off on, to get the vibe going during the whole year, even though it's a very seasonal sport. So I just think we got through the noise. It's like we got through there with a good team, we have great coaches, very personal and individual. The athletes give a lot of themselves, and we're just very likable as an organization, I think.
So Ulrika, earlier you mentioned that y'all have a lot of Instagram. Are you all using TikTok at all, out of curiosity?
This is very, very interesting. We just started the TikTok account because we saw that biathlon started to get viral on TikTok.
Yeah.
And so we just started the account, and this is one of the platforms that we are going to look into, because we have a possibility here to reach a younger target group. And there are a lot of things that happens on biathlon that's kind of funny and cool and different. And so this is actually a platform we are going to dive into, and also really see how we're going to use it, and also who is going to use it. Are we going to do it? Are we going to ask our younger, biathletes to help us? Yeah. We don't know that. We haven't decided that yet, because we haven't done that research yet. But we started an account just to claim the name, so we wouldn't miss it. So we have an account, and we have seen a lot of viral things going on about biathlon right now. So it's a very interesting platform for us.
Yeah, I think from all that you've told us of what you're doing over in the Instagram space, I feel like a lot of that would very easily convert into the TikTok space as well. But
yes,
just to put this out there as well, YouTube Shorts are competing quite well with TikTok, and that's another space. It's like TikTok, it's like Instagram Reels, right? But they're shorts. We've seen a lot of success in that space too. So if you're doing TikTok, you should probably also look into and consider YouTube Shorts as a place to go simultaneously, probably.
Yeah, and from what I understand, YouTube. Yeah, the YouTube Shorts are almost gaining more popularity than TikTok. The nice thing about YouTube is it's owned by Google, and so it's also serves as a search engine. So when you have your captions in there, that can be pulled up by the search engine. So Shorts are doing really well for us and our clients right now. It's true.
Good tip. Yeah, I'll take that in our marketing days that we're going to have.
Very cool.
So I've got one last question, really, Ulrika. And it's you've spoken a lot about training up the younger generation to turn into your future athletes, star athletes. So taking that concept and applying it to somebody, your younger self, right?
Mm-hmm.
who was an athlete and interested in
Yes.
the creative space and maybe a flair for marketing as you clearly have. What advice would you give to someone looking to break into the field of sports digital marketing like you've done?
Ooh. Um, I would say it doesn't really have anything to do with the sport, to be honest. It
Mm-hmm.
just, I think my advice would be that go with something that makes you, your body on fire. You want to have the passion for it, and I think it doesn't matter what that is. For me, it's sports, because sports for me is so many things. It's about the community, the fun, the training, the goal setting, achieving, failing, having fun with your friends, winning medals, of course, traveling, having something to do, get you healthy. I seriously think that if you have an interest in something, I think you will be successful in marketing no matter what it is, as long as you really have a passion for it. Sports is my passion. And I think, I know you and I, Trisha, we are not the same. Sport is not your passion. So, but you know what I mean with
Have an
having a passion.
appreciation.
I think
Yeah.
if you have a passion, you'll be good at it. You know,
Yeah.
I knew after 10 years that I would gear towards sports, because
Hmm.
I knew I wanted to fill that void in me, and combining my passion with my knowledge and my experience. So
Hmm.
I don't know if that's even an answer, Daniel, but
I think it's beautiful. Yeah. Thank you.
And Ulrika, I want to add on to that. So we've been talking about your successes, and you, my goodness, you've had so many successes. But I've known you for a long time, and just like anybody, you've had your ups and downs, and you had some jobs
mm-hmm,
that maybe didn't turn out so well. And what would your advice be? I'm thinking about this specifically for we teach digital marketing at the University of
mm-hmm,
Texas, and sometimes we have students that feel a little bit discouraged when they get
yep,
with the ups and downs of their careers. So what kind of advice can
yeah.
you give people who are trying to build a marketing career, who are experiencing the ups and downs, and how did you push through the disappointments and turn that into success, which you have done? What's your advice?
Well, to be honest with you, I think it just has, you have to realize that life is not a bed of roses all the time. Um, you cannot just have success. You cannot always have fun projects. That's just not the way it is. You have to dig
Mm-hmm.
deep. You have to work freaking hard, and you can't be lazy. And you cannot expect life to be pretty all the time. I mean, I have worked a lot of things that has not been fun, trust me. But I've always done my best, because at that moment, that project needed to be done at the best possible way. So I always given my clients the best they deserve, the best goals they have, as best as I could. So I think it's very important. I think it's also a little, I don't know if it's a little bit of the younger generation. They think sometimes, I think that life is supposed to be happy and perky all the time. And if it's not, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to get a new one. Well, guess what? Your next job is also going to have boring projects and things that are not fun. And I mean, it's just the way it is, just me
Mm-hmm.
sitting here. This was not an easy road for me. I had a freaking goal I set, and I've been working hard. It's like my training, I had a goal,
Yeah.
and I was supposed to be an Olympic skier, and my kneecap broke. So that didn't happen. Okay, well, what do I do instead? Okay, I can turn it this way. You have to turn another stone and find something else. So I think you just have to work really, really hard and prepare yourself that it's not going to be fun all the time, but you have to do the best you can.
Yeah.
That's just life.
It is.
to be
And Ulrika,
honest.
I love that you mentioned the broken kneecap. I remember when this happened, it happened in college, and I was helping
Hmm.
Ulrika get around to our classes because she was in a cast. And you feeling like your Olympic dreams had just gone down the tubes. I remember you feeling like
It was
this.
gone.
It
It
was
was
gone.
broken.
And I remember how devastating that was for you. And so when you ended up getting this job where you are going to be helping the Swedish Biathlon Federation and helping the, working with the athletes, and you are going to the Olympics, you are literally going to be traveling with the Olympic team. I literally cried. I am just so proud of you and so happy for you. And I want to add that I feel like one of the most important things, as far as having the motivation to continue on, and you know how to rise above those challenges that we all experience in our careers, is your network, right? You have always
Yeah,
done
yeah,
that for me. You and I have
yeah.
always done that for each other. We're always
Hmm.
pushing each other and saying, well, that didn't work out, let's try this.
Yeah.
That's so important, your network.
And I think also that's also a part of being creative. I mean, okay, this didn't work out. How can I make something else work? I think
Yeah,
it's most important thing is to not, I mean, you have to be sad and devastated for a while because it's a sorrow, it's a
yeah,
loss. It was a goal I had and it made me devastated. I mean, I
yeah,
still to this day cry sometimes. But when I worked at the Olympics 2002 and my friend raced there and I didn't, I borrowed the bib to ski the course with her because I was working there, but I
yeah,
cried the whole freaking way around because I wanted to race there. But
yeah,
I got to work there instead. I got to do other things, you know? So sometimes you just have to reset your goals and be proud of that. Be sad for a while and go on with your life. I mean, this will happen again and again and again. And I think that's just, I mean, you know me, Trisha, you know, I had my ups and downs with illness
hmm
and everything, you know, but
hmm
it's just, I think being the person I am today, I just never give up because I love life too much.
yeah,
And I don't want to have a boring life. I want to have a life that gives me something. I want to be inspired. And if I'm not inspired, I will make sure I get inspired.
yeah,
I will never ever sit and wait for something to happen to me. I mean, sometimes I get this question, well, so many good things has happened to you. And I'm like, nothing has ever happened to me. Trust me, nothing has ever happened to me. I've gone after it, I worked for it, and I got it. But nothing has
absolutely.
ever happened to me.
And I can verify that. Again, Ulrika is one of the most, ambitious people I know, and she hasn't let the bumps in life get her down. You've been very inspirational to me in that way, my friend. And your friendship has been one of those friendships in my life that has really kind of elevated me in so many ways, both, just in life and in my career, and going back to making sure that you are surrounded by supportive people.
Mm-hmm.
That's really important, and making sure you're around people who lift you up, right? Lift you up and help
Yes,
encourage you, and want to see you succeed. So important, and that's what you have always done for me.
thanks.
Well, I feel like what something that you said about it's you have to feel sad. You know, a lot of us, especially in America, we try to say, "Oh, just brush it off, shake it off. Forget about it. It's
I
okay."
know.
And I feel like that's not giving the space that sadness deserves.
Yeah,
We have to. We don't want to lean too deep into it because then we can get lost. But I do think that
Yeah,
it's like you said, we owe it to ourselves to feel those feelings so that
yep,
we can appreciate the other side of those feelings when we eventually do get there.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um, you're very inspiring, Ulrika. You've
Well, thank
inspired
you.
me today, saying you want to be inspired. You don't want to lead a boring life. I'm sitting here thinking, am I leading a boring life? I'm questioning myself right now,
you're
and I
not.
appreciate that. I appreciate that because we do need to continually, I think, uh, ask ourselves those questions. Am I happy? Am I inspired? Am I doing myself, the child that dreamt all of these dreams, am I doing myself justice, or am I letting my old self down? And I think we need to ask ourselves those questions, because they are motivators. You are clearly an incredible motivator. And I can only imagine how bittersweet it must be to go to those competitions and know what could have been. But also, I'm sure in the back of you is somewhere that says, maybe this could never have been had that been.
Anyway,
right.
Yeah.
So,
and can I add something?
Yeah.
Can I add one little thing? I think another word that's very me is brave. You have to be so freaking brave. I mean, I moved to America. I moved away from home to my ski high school when I was 15. We had no mobile phones. We didn't have a computer. I lived in a basement with an old a lady and a man. You know, I didn't know how to cook. I didn't know how to clean, nothing. But I did it because I wanted to be a skier. I moved to America. Trisha knows this. I was a good student in high school, but I sucked at English. Okay. And my mom said to me when I was headhunted for the U, and she's like, you can't go. Why? But you don't know English. I'm like, I'll work it out, you know? So I moved to America not knowing anything. I was basically quiet for 6 months, just listening to people.
For me.
Then I started speaking. And I always been brave to say that, okay, this job is not for me. But I also always never taken another job. I've never left a job just to leave the job. My motto has always been, I will get a new job when I want that new job. You know, I always gone to something, not from something. And that's also very important, I think. And being brave, being, dare to jump. I mean, just this move for me, like taking this job. I mean, I'm literally living 12 hours away from my family. We bought an apartment here. I live here part-time. Yeah, that's scary. Some people think, or they think I'm stupid, but it's like, no, I know this needed to happen, and this is going to work because I decided it's going to work. So I think being brave and dare to do things and not be so darn scared of life. You know, what's the worst thing that can happen? I don't like it. Okay, I'll move back home. Sure. I'll sell the apartment. What's the problem?
Yeah. No, that's great advice. Now, slight tangent. I studied anthropology in university. And one of the pieces of advice from a cultural anthropologist's perspective was, if you go live with another culture, in order to best learn their language, stay silent for 6 months. That's what they told us to do.
Quiet.
Just listen. Just listen. Learn the sounds. Learn everything, and then when you start, it'll all just kind of come together. So that's pretty incredible.
That's exactly how it works.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I do think you have to be brave, and I too. I took a job teaching sailing and surfing in Hawaii, and I'm from Texas. What do I know about any of those things? And I learned them when I got there. But you have to be brave. Some might call it stupid. Yeah, there is that, and that's okay too. But
that's totally okay. You trust me, it's totally okay.
If you're not willing to jump and do the thing, then you're just going to have to watch everyone else do those things, and that's not the life.
Also, I think
same thing. I was going to say, Ulrika, remember when I moved to Seattle? That was a big thing for me. I moved, I didn't know anybody. And I knew after I graduated that I would have a better chance of getting a good design job in Seattle because there were just more companies there. And it's where the whole tech industry was exploding, right? So yeah, I moved to Seattle by myself. I knew one person. And it was really scary, but Ulrika really was supportive through that whole time.
But the thing is, you have to put in the work and you have to dare to do things. Nobody's going to do it for you.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is, you know. So
you have to put in the work. You have to dare to do things.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this podcast up, Ulrika, but it has been an absolute, genuine pleasure. I can't believe I got to speak to the communications director of the Swedish Biathlon Federation. I mean, what just happened? It's amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. I really
well, thank you.
Honored.
This was really, really fun.
Thank you, Ulrika. It's been so fun having you on our show.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to the We Rock DM podcast. We hope you found our discussions on digital marketing and web design and development helpful and informative. Don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to our podcast to stay up to date on the latest trends and strategies in the world of online business. We'll see you in the next episode of We Rock DM, where we make kick-ass stuff kick-ass.